Welcome back to Data and Tech Korea. In today's video, I'm going to go over how do you land to an entry-level software engineer job without a CS degree and without any technical background. Straight up self-taught for 6 months, I was able to land a software engineer job at one of the biggest unicorn tech company in SF. To give you a little bit of background about Mr. A, he actually had a finance degree from college, but he didn't really know what to do with finance because he actually didn't really like finance by the time he graduated. So then he was looking for options like what can he do in terms of getting a job with his finance degree. And then Mr. A decided to become a program manager in New York City because he didn't want to be a financial analyst, but he didn't also really have the technical skill sets to get into other technical jobs. So program management became the most obvious answer. Before I continue Mr. A's journey to go from program management and then somehow ended up in Vietnam to teach English and then somehow become a software engineer at the end, please make sure to subscribe to learn more about data and tech career, and we'll continue. So after having working as a program manager for 2 to 3 years, he realized that that's not really the career path he wants because it's not technical, it doesn't really excite him. And then so he decided to just left his job and to travel around the world. And then so he really wanted to, gain that experience, also use some of his savings that he has saved from his job to really go explore himself. And then so he went to Europe and Eastern Europe and then just travel around the world. So after traveling for a couple months, he is even more sure that he doesn't want to be a program manager anymore. But then he doesn't really know what he can do. And then he was looking at the skill set that he has. He was thinking about, since English is my native language, can I teach English in Asia and then travel around a little more? So then he was thinking about Japan, Vietnam, and Taiwan and other parts of the Asia to see if he can survive there. But he picked Vietnam because that's the cheapest place to live, and also that he can survive on his own by teaching English in Vietnam. So after Mr. A has been teaching English in Vietnam for 6 months, he feels like that is not what he wants to live, how he wants to live his life. And then so he decided that he's gonna actually learn a technical skill and actually become a software engineer and move back to the United States. But then, while you're trying to study for programming, he needs some time to study for it, and he doesn't have the time to make money while he's trying to do that. And for 6 months, he self-taught himself and then be ready for, the interviews based on LeetCode. So while studying for programming and trying to figure out how do I even enter or become a software engineer without a CS degree, he found a niche that it's actually easier to become a front-end developer than a back-end developer for a software engineering job, competing against computer science degree students, because computer science degree students actually learn all the fundamentals and basics of the back-end development job, but the front-end is actually not very well taught in the university. So he found a niche that it's actually, one, easier to learn how to be a front-end developer. Second is that front-end is always changing and that things are always moving around in every year. And so to compete against other people, you're actually starting from kind of similar baseline against everybody else. Compared to backend, it doesn't change the knowledge doesn't change as much. So then you actually don't need to it'll be harder to learn all the fundamentals and then compete with the computer science students. So learning the fundamentals about programming, practicing all the LeetCode questions, the easier coding interviews are all critical. But how do you even land your first job, right? It's if you don't have experience, you don't have a CS degree, how do you prove that you can do coding in your resume? So the first thing that he did was actually building a portfolio on GitHub. So GitHub is a code hosting platform where it can host your code, and then so everybody can see what you have built, and you can write some documentations around it to demonstrate your knowledge and also your code to people, to prove to people that you can actually do coding, you can actually be a software engineer. So he built a lot of projects. He built an e-commerce website. He built a platform, a mobile app, and then he just trying to prove to people that he can actually build something from scratch. So after you have your resume ready, has done hundreds and thousands of lead code questions to make sure you can ace that coding interview, and building a portfolio to demonstrate that you actually have the ability to do the job, now it's time to apply for your job and land an interview. So instead of trying to blindly just apply on LinkedIn, which has a very low chance of you being even getting a chance of, landing the actual interview, he decided to message 100 people on LinkedIn who are software engineers but had a similar background as him. Like not from a non-technical background, were probably teaching English abroad. So all the similarities of with him. And he was able to get 20 of that 100 people to respond on LinkedIn on his message. Only 5 of them were willing to talk to him on the phone and actually assess his skill sets. But then out of that 5 interviews he actually landed, he actually got 3 offers from the big tech companies. And that just shows you how powerful it is to build that connection and also finding, try to land in a job in a not traditional way of just trying to apply online and also hoping that someone will see your resume in that piles of hundreds and thousands of resumes out there. After he actually landed a job, he actually had to learn a lot on the job because just self-taught 6 months is not you didn't learn all the fundamentals, but throughout the projects and throughout working with the senior developers and mentors, he was able to learn a lot faster and actually get a promotion in a year and a half. So don't really limit yourself. Try to think of not traditional ways of how you can grow into a career, and I encourage you all to think outside the box and think of how can I pivot my job into the ideal job I really want.
So Mr. A's story was actually a true story, and we ended up working at a tech company together for when he landed his entry-level software engineering job. And I was really inspired by his story because he didn't take the traditional route of going to grad school and getting a CS degree before landing an entry-level software engineering job. Instead, he actually saved a lot of money by self-teaching himself at home and saving a lot of living expenses by living at home and being able to land his dream job without a technical degree. So to inspire you all, I really thought that this story is very inspiring and hopefully it'll help you guys to think about what are the different ways can you land your dream job without all the getting a degree or boot camp or all the traditional ways of getting the job. And then so if you like this video, please hit the like button and make sure you subscribe to this channel.